Welcome to the 8th Annual Tipping Point Awards Breakfast. It's really an incredible pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of the board of the Tipping Point community. My name is Phaedra Ellis-Lamkins, and it's really an incredible pleasure to have you here. I think I speak on behalf of the board when I just extend our deepest gratitude, because each one of us loves this community for incredibly different reasons. I love this community because it's the type of organization that would have made change for me as a kid. And as I sit with all of these incredible grantees that you are also sitting with at your table, you'll get to hear the lives that you've helped change and the work that really is transforming this community. What you get being part of this community is very, very important. Who can tell me the best thing about being part of this community? Yes, Ronnie, go ahead. What do you love, Ronnie?
What do I love?
Yes, sir.
I love giving.
You love giving.
I love giving, and I love giving to people.
That's wonderful to hear. And what's important about giving it to the Tipping Point is last year alone, we were able to raise $21 million. $21 million. That's 50% more than has ever been invested in education, employment, housing, and wellness. But what's most important and what we care about is the fact that your gifts are able to give 47 amazing nonprofits the ability to do the work they do. And what we're committed to doing as a board is doing your homework. We want to make sure that we vet that these are the best, most impressive, incredible nonprofits. And as a board, we guarantee that 100% of your gift is used for actual work. And that's really important. I want to just say, maybe you didn't hear me. What percentage of your gift goes to the people that are sitting at your table? I feel like this is so incredible, and I was asked to make sure you get it, so I just want to make sure 100%. Okay. And I really want to say that we all appreciate, and I was sitting with a grantee today, a 9-year-old who you'll get to hear from, and I think that's really the best thing, is to hear from people who are able to have access to education, access to employment, access to housing, and to hear about what your incredible work does. On behalf of all of us, it's my distinct pleasure to not just welcome you, but to make sure you value and hear us. Have I done my job? Do you feel excited about Tipping Point? Okay, that was a little pathetic, but I'm not judging you all. So it's really, though, in all seriousness, I have the pleasure of introducing our first awardee. And this is really what we're all here for. Our first honoree is the Center for Employment Opportunities, or CEO. They provide job training and placement services to the highest risk men and women who are returning home from prison. The organization targets those most likely to recidivate with the knowledge that their failure will have a profound negative impact on families, communities, and public safety of whole cities. Founded in New York, CEO replicated to the Bay Area in 2012 with seed funding from the Tipping Point, the Social Innovation Fund, REDF, and the City of Oakland. Since then, they've expanded to other parts of the state, including San Bernardino and San Diego. CEO is proven to reduce all measures of recidivism and leads to an almost 20% increase in clients' earnings over their lifetime. CEO's Bay Area branch has yielded the highest average starting wages across all sites nationally. Research shows that the model results in $3.30 in taxpayer savings for every dollar invested in this program. For their extraordinary work in the fight against poverty in the Bay Area, I'm honored to present this Tipping Point Award to the Center for Employment Opportunities, CEO Sam Schaefer.
There is a lot that can make you hesitant about committing your career to prisoner reentry. Numbers, especially. The statistics can be overwhelming and discouraging, but they also make you feel like you have to do something. This morning, 7 million children are waking up with a parent in jail or prison or on community supervision. And those children are 6 times more likely to end up in the justice system themselves. Now, when I was working as a cook at an overpriced French restaurant in Manhattan, I'm not sure anyone pegged me for this line of work. Like for so many, though, it was 9/11 that drew me to public service. That morning, I took the bus downtown to an appointment, and as I was there, the first tower collapsed. I rode the bus back uptown. I remember feeling a weird sense of disconnection. I knew I would spend the rest of the week glued to the TV, living apart from the grim reality downtown. It was slow at the restaurant. No one had an appetite for that kind of dining. I couldn't shake the feeling of disconnection, of wanting to do something. I scanned the New York Times Help Wanted section. They still had that then. I came across an ad to work on affordable housing for the state assembly. I actually circled it with a Sharpie, faxed my resume. And after years as a community organizer and campaign staffer, I became director of economic development for a US senator in New York. My job was to create jobs, but we were doing almost nothing to connect them to the people who needed them most. The United States spends $64.3 billion every year on incarceration. We spend almost nothing on employing people when they come home. Long before this issue was on anyone's radar, CEO was doing the work in New York City. It had completed a random control trial proving the model worked. The big idea, and the reason I joined CEO 6 years ago, was to see if we could scale it nationally. That said, I didn't really know what a strategic plan was, and I certainly didn't have any experience scaling a nonprofit. The first thing we did was take a map of the United States, put it up on the wall, and fill in a number of people released from prison every year by state. The map pointed west. By a factor of nearly 4, California had the most people coming home. 179,000 people a year returning from prison, which meant to us 179,000 opportunities to turn people's lives around. Not only were huge numbers of people coming back, they were coming back to areas with the deepest poverty in the state, neighborhoods in counties like Alameda and Santa Clara. Just weeks or even days after being released from prison, participants at CEO enter a 1-week life skills class. After completion, we hire every graduate into our social enterprise. In Oakland, we contract with Caltrans to provide work crews for litter abatement. But it's more than just picking up trash. On these crews, they practice basic work skills and functioning as a team. At the end of every shift, they get a paycheck. For half our participants, that will be the very first paycheck they have ever earned. Our vocational team places participants in permanent jobs and works with them for an additional year to keep that job, position themselves for promotions, and lay out a career path. From even before day one, Tipping Point was in CEO's corner. The financial support was critical, but it also comes with this good housekeeping seal of approval. Tipping Point made it safe for others to support these crazy New Yorkers before we ever had proven ourselves in Oakland. During our first year, we had high staff turnover in some key positions. It impacted our outcomes. Tipping Point was willing to align our goals to where we were at the moment rather than against some arbitrary notion of where we should be. Our whole team, led by Bill Heiser and Monique Perkins, quickly got us back on track. Last year, when we had the opportunity to expand into San Jose, Tipping Point doubled down their support for CEO. We are only as good as the jobs we can get for our participants. Since joining a little more than a year ago, Teresa Castor, one of our job developers in Oakland, has placed nearly 200 recently released people into full-time private sector jobs. Her approach balances the needs of employers and participants and has changed so many lives. It's my honor to introduce you to her this morning.
On the street, they call me the job lady. I can be mean if I have to, and I'll suspend you in a heartbeat if you're late or you don't show up. But everyone knows I can deliver. I came to CEO after 18 years with AT&T. I was always the top salesperson. My old boss used to say, Teresa, she can sell ice in Alaska. I worked with the C-levels, directors, executing the biggest contract. But then something happened. My husband left AT&T to work for a nonprofit that helps foster kids find good families. He started coming home more fulfilled. I could see it in his face. I wanted that too. The first month was a struggle. It was a total culture shock. The office, the people, everything at CEO is different. Pull up your pants, Mr. Johnson. I don't want to see your boxers, I would say. When was the last time you took a shower, Mr. Hernandez? It has to start here. It's a practice. If our participant doesn't show up on time, clean, and respectful to us, they will not do it for our employers either. When I target employers, I tell them that people do not wake up and say, "Let me rob the liquor store today." Many of them are product of generations of crime, violence, and trauma. Fine, we have 2 openings. Send me 2 people. The employer will say, "Can I send you 5? So you have 5 to choose from." In sales, I was successful because my word is very important to me. A few months ago, I had my eye on All Modular. They build office furniture for Google, Clorox, and Levi's Stadium. At first, they were hesitant to work with us. I went out to lunch with Lou, the COO. "Okay, send me someone with warehouse background," he said. I sent a participant. The first day, he took the afternoon off. I called him into my office, and he made an excuse. I was livid. Lou said it wasn't going to work out, but I was determined to salvage the relationship. I know another gentleman who worked really hard, but was already employed making $12 an hour. I asked him to take 1 week off his vacation time as a trial to see if he liked this other job. Lou fell in love with the guy and offered him $3 an hour more to keep him. A couple of weeks later, Lou called me back. "I need 10 people," he said. "No experience needed. I will hire all of them at $19.56 an hour." When our participants arrived, Lou gathered them together and said, "The reason I'm working with Teresa is that when I was young, I had a felony. If my employer never gave me a chance, I don't know where I would be." When our participants get out of San Quentin, they get $40 to take Greyhound. They don't know where to go or what to do. I have one gentleman who is a father. "I don't care. I'll take any job, Mrs. Castor," he said. When I told him I found something that pays $10 an hour at a seafood place in Hayward, he was so grateful, he was in tears. It's not an easy job. He works in the refrigerated area, scales fish, weighs them, cuts them, but he shows up every day. Since then, I've offered him higher paying positions, but he always declines. "They like me here," he says. Often, they're just looking for someone to trust them again. I had another participant, David, who served 20-year sentence. He took advantage of every training they offered while he was incarcerated. I found him a facility maintenance job that pays $31 an hour. David chose the graveyard shift so he can spend every Friday back at San Quentin mentoring younger inmates. Without CEO, everybody suffers. Our participants are more likely to end up back in prison. And as taxpayers, we'll pick up the tab. Worst of all, their families must cope with their absence and loss of income. Many become reliant to things like welfare and food stamps. At AT&T, the CEO shook my hand in front of the entire company for exceeding my goals. I had more freedom, but I felt like just a number there. At CEO, I never take lunch, and sometimes I'm on the phone with the recruiter until 8 o'clock at night. But when you find someone a job, their grandmother or mother will call you. They send you cards and they say thank you so much. Before, I was really watchful, especially with people who committed crimes. My friends and even my husband were nervous when I took the job. Now, I get offended if people say things about my participants. Yes, they made mistakes, but maybe that's all they know. And they will work hard because they know what it's like to have nothing. When I took the job, I knew I could sell. I knew I could close deals. I did not know how grateful my participants would be. Many of them even tells me they are happy to pay taxes or get parking tickets. They are no longer taking from society. And because they are employed, they can afford it. It puts me in my place. And I realize how grateful I am too. Thank you all for supporting CEO and for giving me such a great reason to wake up and go to work every day.